Kyle wants to know, can engagement rate be applied to a page? I see people doing this in reports, but engagement rate seems to be a session-based metric. You are correct, Kyle. Engagement rate is a session-based metric. And what we mean by that are scopes. So if people aren't familiar with the idea of scopes, Universal Analytics had them as well as GA4 scopes. The scope is the essentially, well, the scope, the type of data that's applied. So for example, if you're thinking about something like someone's user ID, that's at a user scope as it applies to everything that user had. Something like a landing page, it only happens once per session. So that's a session scope. And then there's individual things that are event scoped. And those are things like, say, individual page views. Multiple of that could happen in a session. So one mistake I see a lot of people making in GA4 reports is they will take something that is an event scoped dimension, something like a page view, and then they will apply a session scoped metric to it, like engagement rate. The problem with this is that GA4 will give you a report, but what it will show is it'll say average of this metric is 0. And that means that you have a scope mismatch issue. What has to happen is that the dimension has to be the highest scope. And then the metrics that are attached to that dimension, by dimension, I mean, say, the page that was viewed or the channels that people got to the site, the text based stuff. And then the metrics are the numbers. So when we're thinking about, say, individual pages, those are event scoped dimensions. And then that means that you should only have event scoped metrics when you're reporting on that as a dimension. Now, if you're reporting on landing page, that's a session scoped dimension. So you can have engagement rate there because that is a session scoped metric. And if you are not sure what are session scoped and event scoped, let me show you. So I'm just going to pop on one of my favorite resources. Let me go into this view and I'm going to remove the brand so that you guys can see this. All right. So what this is one of my favorite websites because I'm a nerd and I have a favorite website for GA4. It's data.ga4spy.com. It's a fantastic resource. And what's listed here are all the dimensions and metrics that are available in GA4. And for any of them, you can see what the scope is of that. So if I look at, say, engagement rate, let's find it here. Oops, it helps if I spell it right. So if I look for, say, engagement rate right here is a session metric, and you can see here the scope is session scoped. So this is a really handy resource. So you can check on different things and say, is this session scoped or event scoped or user scoped? And then that can help you figure out what can you actually measure this with. So again, if I look at, say, page as in page path, let's find that here. So we have page path, and you can see this is an event scoped dimension. But then if I look at landing page is a session scope dimension. So keep in mind, there's 3 different scopes. There's user, there's session, and there's event. User's at the top, then there's session. So a user scope can have 1 or more session items into it, and then session, and then event. And so a session scope can have event items in it, but you wouldn't attach user items to session scope. And then event scope, you wouldn't attach session scoped items to user scope dimensions. So something to keep in mind when it comes to engagement rate. I find this is one of the things that people really get mixed up with when it comes to GA4. So I hope use this resource. It will really help you. Again, this URL is data.ga4spy.com. Okay. So next question. Let's see. And don't forget as well, you can ask questions right now in the chat and we will definitely answer them as we go